All right, we found another trail. This one looks like it's probably a black diamond, but again, it's unmarked. So I'm not 100% sure what trail this is, but it's got some downhill right away. So let's check it out, see where this takes us. Oh yeah, a little slippery. Be careful. Rock. Oh my God. More cuts. My legs are a mess. Jesus Christ. Welcome back, riders. Time for another video. We're going to go for a little ride today, but we're going to head out and we're going to talk about getting back up on the bike after you've had a crash. We're going to visit a couple spots where I took a spill, and we'll just talk about, you know, ways that you can get back on that bike with confidence and work through the reasons why you might have taken a spill, and just getting better at riding. So guys, grab your bikes, let's go for a ride. There's plenty of reasons why we crash on our mountain bikes. Some of it has to do with preparation. Some of it has to do with skill. Some of it has to do with lack of focus. And just not being ready for what you're getting yourself into. And in my last video, when I was doing Adam's run at Hydrocut, I gave you a perfect example of what lack of focus can result in. Ouch. Shit. That was a crash. Oh, my leg is hacked up. Oh, well, my bike is okay. Especially when you're riding a trail you've never ridden before. There's so many different levels, you know, skill levels and just kind of trail ratings, you know, green, blue, black, double black. You know, we ride because we want to get better. We also want that feeling of gratification that we accomplished something, which is one of the best feelings you can have. But sometimes things just don't go as planned. And sometimes we end up on the ground. Something as little as a route like the one I just went over can knock you offline. And if you're not ready for it, you can go sideways, you know, your tire can slip out, and if it's wet, the risk is that much higher. You can end up on the ground. You know, you may not be injured, but you could be scraped up a little bit. And for riders who are maybe less experienced, that can be enough to really mess with your confidence. And it could even end your ride prematurely. You know, that's happened to me before. I'm out having a great ride, and one silly little mistake, excuse me, coming through, guys. One little mistake puts me on the ground, and it completely ruins my confidence. And really all I wanted to do was go home, which you could call me, or call someone who does that, a quitter. But in my opinion, if you're not in the right mental state of mind, you're putting yourself at risk. And you could, you know, potentially have another crash, even worse, if you're not 100% focused. Some people will say, just send it, which I've done, you know, and I think when your confidence level is up and you're 100% focused and committed, your chances of success are a lot greater. But if you're kind of wishy-washy and not sure, feeling a little timid, something can go wrong really quickly. So I really think your mental state is like one of the most important things in your readiness. Now, by no means am I a pro or an expert. I've only been riding, you know, more difficult and taking this sport more seriously for a little over a year. But in that year, I've learned so much, you know, and I've made mistakes along the way. But those mistakes have caused me to reassess things and find a better way of having fun out on the trail. And I think that's even more satisfying than just getting on your bike and hoping for the best. Doing a pre-ride is always a great idea. That way you can see the trail first, know where the potential, you know, risky areas are, and you can assess whether or not that's something you feel you can execute. And it'll also give you an opportunity to even session that part of the trail, and that way you can work on it, practice, and become better, which is amazing for your confidence. It's pretty dry today, which I don't mind riding in dry conditions, but it gets dusty, and the trail, which is kind of weird, gets slippery because there's no moisture at all. So having a little bit of rain, you can never go wrong. So yeah, I've been watching some videos on YouTube of some people riding in my local trails here in Falkers Falls. And a lot of them aren't familiar with the trail. And then when you come across something like this, little rock skinny. Okay, it doesn't look that difficult, but if you haven't ridden it before, okay, you're not gonna know the right speed, what line to take, okay, and how to exit. So this one intimidated me quite a bit when I first started riding in here. So we'll get a look at it from that end. Doesn't look that difficult, but if you're not going fast enough, in my opinion, you can take a spill, or you can not, you know, successfully execute it. But this is the even more difficult part. If you choose to take this, okay, it's another roller, bigger rocks, okay, and a lot more difficulty, I think, because you're climbing up, right? You back up again, and then you got a sudden little drop here, okay? And then you can either exit to the right, or you can keep going. So you enter here, another little climb up, okay, back down again, and then a tiny little roller at the end, okay, and then you exit, and then you keep going this way. And there's another pretty cool roller, it's a log roller. So knowing this little section and being able to session it and practice, sooner or later you're going to be able to come out here and hit that without even thinking about it. So let's hit this one and keep moving, because we got lots more to talk about. So like I said, speed is key on this. But also you don't want to be going too fast. Not bad. Okay, and this one you're really pumping to get over. And then you hit a nice log roller here. And then you just keep going. Another fun one here. So just the right amount of speed. You got to get some momentum to get over that second one. And the momentum will just carry you right up and over. And I've crashed a few times on both those sections. And luckily, I didn't get injured. A couple scrapes on the bike, but other than that, like, nothing too major. This is one of my funner sections. Little drop there. So you're probably wondering, where am I going with this? Well, really what I wanted to talk about, guys, is dealing with a crash, and getting back on the bike. Not necessarily right after the crash, but overcoming the hurdle, the mental block that you might get when you do have one, especially one that you get hurt on, or one that you potentially could have gotten hurt on. Then you may be scared to try and do it again, because that's happened to me plenty of times. I'll give you a great example on this trail. This one's called Backwoods. That's the nickname. On Trail Forks, it's called Felker's Falls Single Track. But there's a lot of features in here. And I've crashed a bunch of times, you know, for different reasons, but the one crash I had was on a skinny. And it's a fairly high skinny. And you guys have probably seen me, if you watch my videos, you've seen the video where that crash happened. And I got lucky. I could have got pretty badly injured on that thing. But for me, that day, I mean, it spooked me. But I got back up and I went and I hit it again and I made it, you know, right after crashing. But then fast forward 6 months later, it's now springtime and I'm back on the bike. I mean, I was riding throughout the winter on my fat bike, but I wasn't hitting a ton of features and stuff. I was hitting some that I've never crashed on, or some that I had a lot of confidence in. But skinnies was not one of them. And some of the skinnies in here are pretty high up. So if you do, you know, ride offline and you're off the side, you can go down and you can hurt yourself. And for me, it was a challenge hitting skinnies again this year. Now I have gotten back to doing them, but not nearly as confident as I was before that crash. So I've slowly, you know, gotten myself mentally prepared and back with some confidence to give those skinnies a go again. And not all skinnies are the same, but it took a while. Because when I first started trying to hit them again, all I could think about was that crash. But I just stay on the seat. Replaying it in my mind and worrying that it was going to happen again. So getting over that mental hurdle was a challenge. But I think the best thing for me was to keep at it, because that's the only way you're going to get over wiping out on your bike. All right, so let's take a look at this skinny. So you can see the entrance is kind of been eroded away. So there is a bit of a bump at the very beginning of it. And you can see it's not super high, but it gradually gets higher as you go along, and it dips in the center a little bit and then kind of climbs up a little at the end, and then you got a pretty sketchy exit. But let's walk it. So they flattened it out, which makes it a lot easier to stay centered, I think. But it's a pretty decent length. I think it looks longer on camera, but yeah, so right here you kind of climb up a little bit, and this is where I went wrong, right here. So when I was turning my front wheel, I didn't quite turn it enough, and I slipped out and slid, and then I went flying off the bike. My bike got hung up here, right about here. But you want to make a nice, easy turn on this exit, and that way you can just roll right down, and it gets skinnier at the bottom. And you can see here, okay, it does angle down quite a bit. It looks like there's a bailout right here, but I wouldn't want to be doing that. you want to stick to this longer exit here, because there's a good chance you're going to clip your handlebars on that tree, and you don't want that to happen. So we'll take a look at this side. So it's fairly high up, like it's not like it's flat on the ground or like barely raised. And yeah, it is a pretty long skinny. You might not be able to see it because of the trees, but it goes for a pretty good length. And there's another one in here that's even longer than this, and it's skinnier. And I've actually done that one before, but I haven't attempted it this year yet. But we'll get to that one eventually. All right, back to the scene of the crime. The skinny that I crashed on. So you got a bit of a turn to make. And then the key, I think, is just pedal. It's feeling a little wonky on there, so I'm still a little bit apprehensive about it, but I'm happy that I was able to get through it. But yeah, like if you keep pedaling, you're gonna, maintain that momentum. And right after that skinny, you've got this super sick log roller. Like there's a little dip in front of it that you can use to pump and make your way over it. But yeah, so I feel like the best way to overcome a crash is to not give up. Go back and session that section or that feature and practice until you pretty much got it down perfectly. Because I know it took me a while to get back on the skinny train. So this year I started with the easier ones, a little bit flatter, lower, and just kind of got my confidence back up and came back and worked on that one until I felt comfortable with it. I think it's never a bad idea. I'm not going fast enough for this, but I've done this a million times. It's never a bad idea to have a little bit of fear in you, because that's going to motivate you even more to overcome it. That's just my take anyway. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. How do you overcome a crash? Do you get back up right away? Or do you go back and work on it until you are successful? Like I said, let me know in the comments, guys. I really appreciate it. All the feedback is welcome. Even the negative feedback. But if you're rude, you'll get deleted. That's just the way it is. This one's called the trough. At least that's what I call it. And I've wiped out here before. So you take this berm and then up and through. And maintain your speed so you can get up, because it's an uphill climb. And it's hollowed out, so it can create a few problems if you're not going fast enough. You can get hung up in the middle because you're climbing, and you can fall to the side, and that's pretty dangerous, because if you fall left, there's all kinds of roots sticking out from the tree that fell down. And if you fall right, there's a bunch of branches and things that you could cut yourself on. So practice makes perfect. And I wiped out there, and I've wiped out a couple times, to be honest with you. And I fell sideways both ways, once into the roots and the other one to the right. And I cut myself up pretty good. So luckily there was somebody on the trail and they came over and helped me out. But yeah, it was sketchy. And I guess that's the risk you take when you ride alone, but you just got to be careful. But when you do wipe out, guys, don't give up. Come back, practice it again, and keep doing it until you master it. So what's the moral of the story, riders? Well, basically, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And don't be afraid to go back and conquer those demons. I've wiped out plenty of times, and yeah, I get frustrated by it, and it kind of hurts your motivation, but you feel 100 times better once you've gone back and you've been successful. And you know what? It might not happen right away. You might crash again. And there's a pretty good chance, because it happens to me all the time. But don't get discouraged. Keep at it, and you will get better. Thanks for coming along today, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate the subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. All the support is wonderful. I love it when you guys leave comments. So remember, guys, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you know when I have new content, and we'll see you guys on the next ride. Cheers.